Spokane Falls, where water that came to the mountains and fields as raindrops and snowflakes races through the city at near record flow, staggering the senses in an avalanche of both water and pollution.
This is your water, to drink, to nurture crops, to bathe in, to play in. It is the source of life here. For many of us, it is the reason to be here.
Within this flow, invisible to the eye and perilous to life, are the poisons from over a century of mining and smelting. Lead, zinc, and cadmium are here in abundance. The history and the science are clear. These metals, at the levels found in this watershed, are killers. Why is this pollution here? Where did it come from? What can we do about it? Perhaps we can answer some of these questions by looking at the entire Coeur d'Alene Spokane watershed. The Coeur d'Alene Spokane watershed covers an area of over 1,500 square miles. Lake Coeur d'Alene is, in reality, a drowned river valley, complete with flowing water and a strong current, emptying into the Spokane River and continuing on to the Columbia River. The drainage system includes mountains, small streams, and vast forests collecting moisture that eventually tumbles here or is stored by nature below ground in the aquifer. Each piece of this watershed is connected to the other, functioning as a system. If left to nature's design, each piece serves to ease the extremes of nature's balancing act. The nature of this watershed, however, has been drastically altered by development.
The pollution begins here, in the dozens of creeks and abandoned sites in North Idaho's mining district. The riches produced by 100 years of hard rock mining have diminished to a trickle, but mining's toxic legacy remains. The plume of heavy metal poison stretches from the Idaho-Montana line to the Columbia River right through Spokane. The relentless flow of heavy metals here represents the worst pollution of its kind in the world.
Development brought on this imminent danger. Dozens of mines and thousands of miners filled this valley and region beginning in the early 1880s. Mining poured wealth into the inland Northwest at a staggering rate, generating growth in North Idaho and providing a foundation for modern life and economic prosperity in Spokane.
Most of that wealth is long gone now. What remains is the mine's waste, 72 million tons of it. Now it's in your rivers, your lakes, your wetlands. Much of it continues to move downstream.
In a single day of high water in February of 1995, the U.S. Geological Survey reported that the Coeur d'Alene River carried 68 tons of lead into Lake Coeur d'Alene. Less than half that pollution normally flows into the lake in an entire year. But that was 1995, and that was just a so-called high water event. The water level in the Great Flood of 1996 was 4 times bigger. It begs the question, how much heavy metal came down in that flood?
We are not alone here. We share the natural resources in this watershed with a vast population of creatures. They suffer far too often and pay too dear a price for our development.
Migrating tundra swans seek out the lower Coeur d'Alene River just as they have for untold centuries. Just as certain as the spring thaw, they come. Just as certain, many will die, victims of lead contamination, deep and thick in the sediments of these lakes and wetlands. Tundra swans, trumpeter swans, Canada geese, and at least 6 other species of waterfowl are poisoned and die here. Waterfowl deaths have been documented here for over 60 years. The Idaho Wildlife Federation estimates that over 7,000 tundra swans have been killed by lead poisoning in the past quarter century. Predators including eagles, hawks, kestrels, osprey, and mink are also affected. The metals are found at some level in every type of plant, bird, fish, and mammal living in or near these waters. Federal agencies warn us of lead contamination and the danger of eating fish from these waters. They warn us that this place is unsafe for children to play. The toxic legacy, however, has vastly spread in the past century, extending far beyond the mining district and deeper into everyday life. Lead poisons almost everything. It is especially dangerous to children, diminishing their mental growth and intellectual development. Cadmium causes cancer of the kidney, liver, and other internal organs. Zinc primarily destroys plant life, but at the extreme levels found here, it is toxic to animals and humans. The worst cases of lead poisoning ever found in children were documented in Kellogg, Idaho. Here, a 21 square mile Superfund site exists in the middle of this polluted watershed. The flood of '96 brought on more metals, spreading more poisons and renewing fear. The problem compounds as our forests are logged at alarming rates. Clear cuts and logging roads in Idaho's panhandle tear the fabric of the watershed, creating faster runoffs, and at the same time, decreasing the river's natural ability to contain more of the floodwater. On its journey towards Spokane, the pollution moves from the upper Coeur d'Alene River drainage into Lake Coeur d'Alene. Here, the heavy metal repository includes over 165 billion pounds of contaminated sediment. It covers the lake bottom 15 inches deep and 30 miles long. The deposited metals could be kept caged on the bottom of the lake, but excessive nutrients coming into the lake can lead to oxygen depletion. This in turn creates a condition that liquefies the metals, freeing them into the water column. From here, the pollution enters the Spokane River. Gravity is the pilot now. Metals from excessive concentrations upstream are carried downstream, suspended in the water of the Spokane River. Sediments in the Spokane River above Upriver Dam are already severely toxic. The Washington State Department of Ecology confirms that metals in our river exceed the limits allowed to meet state water quality standards. Toxic or severe levels of lead are documented as far downstream as Long Lake at the confluence of the Spokane and the Little Spokane rivers. Our future is at risk. The science is almost complete. The goal articulated for years by the Coeur d'Alene tribe is to create a basin-wide cleanup. The price tag could exceed $600 million. It could range as high as $1 billion. Who will pay remains the biggest question. The tribe and others maintain that restoration should be funded jointly by the mining companies and the taxpayers through a federal appropriation. Most involved also agree that any restoration plan should include future stewardship of this watershed. This concept would mean supporting a vast cleanup project, then containment of existing pollution, and finally, nutrient management to protect the water quality of Lake Coeur d'Alene and the Spokane River. These natural resources and this natural beauty honor no state lines. Neither do the poisons. The heavy metal contamination of North Idaho will, in time, be the heavy metal contamination of Spokane. The time for you to help is now. Your elected representatives at all levels, from county commissioner to the President of the United States, must understand that restoring the Coeur d'Alene Spokane watershed will take not only the commitment of money, but also of political will. We must craft solutions that will stand for generations.
Our commitment must be strong. It is for the sake of our children, our grandchildren, and the children of our grandchildren that we act now, so that they do not suffer the fate of living in a poisoned land. I'm Tim Cunningham.